welcome back to Reading the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad, and in this episode we'll be exploring number 52 from AFI's 100 Years, 100 Passions, the 100 Greatest Love Stories of All Time.
And number 52 is The Graduate. Released in 1967, directed by Mike Nichols, also directed Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, starring Dustin Hoffman and Anne Bancroft.
So the synopsis for this romantic dramedy is as follows. Recent college graduate Benjamin Braddock, played by Dustin Hoffman, returns from school on the East Coast to his family's Pasadena home. During a graduation party, he seeks refuge in his bedroom, but is interrupted by Mrs. Robinson, played by Anne Bancroft, the wife of his father's law partner. She insists he drive her home. Upon arriving at her home, she tries to seduce him. He resists her advances and returns home. Eventually feeling isolated by his parents and desperate for connection, he eventually invites Mrs. Robinson to the Taft Hotel. He spends the summer relaxing poolside by day and meeting Mrs. Robinson at the hotel by night. She reveals that her loveless marriage resulted when she accidentally became pregnant with their daughter Elaine. Benjamin jokes he should date her, but Mrs. Robinson angrily forbids it. Benjamin's parents, unaware of their son's affair, are eager for their son to date Elaine and relentlessly badger him to ask her out, as does Mr. Robinson. Eventually, Benjamin gives in. He tries to sabotage the date, but feels terrible when Elaine starts crying. He kisses her. They bond over a fast food meal, sharing their uncertainty over the future. They go to the Taft for a late-night drink. When the staff greet Benjamin as Mr. Gladstone, Elaine deduces he's having an affair with a married woman. Benjamin swears the affair is over, and they make plans for the next day. Mrs. Robinson finds out and threatens to tell Elaine about the affair. To thwart her, Benjamin confesses to Elaine. Elaine is so upset she refuses to see him again and returns to Berkeley, where she is attending college. Benjamin follows her to win back her affections. He eventually wins her over, but she won't agree to marry him as she feels uncertain about him. Later, an angry Mr. Robinson shows up and confronts Benjamin, telling him that he and his wife will be divorcing soon and that if he doesn't stay away from his daughter, he'll have him jailed. Mr. Robinson then forces Elaine to leave school and marry Carl Smith, a classmate she briefly dated. Benjamin desperately looks for her, driving back to Pasadena to break into the Robinsons' house and then back to Berkeley. He eventually learns she is getting married in Santa Barbara. He arrives late to crash the wedding, but Elaine sees him and they flee the church together. They escape aboard a bus, but their ecstatic smiles soon fade and they return toward an uncertain future.
So I think that this movie, I would not classify this movie as a love story.
Yeah,
I really classify this movie as like a coming of age story.
I was just gonna say, I think it's more of not so much necessarily a coming of age movie, but kind of a exploration of that transition from childhood to adulthood. And he's right that both of them, Benjamin and Elaine, are both kind of in that spot in your life where you're technically an adult, but you're not ready for adulting yet.
Yeah.
I mean, like, adulting's pretty scary. It sucks and it's a little scary. And, you know, he's had that little cocoon at college where you get to do, you know, you get to have adult freedom and do fun things. And then all of a sudden that's ended for him and he's back home and now everyone's like on top of him and it's just like, hey, what are you going to do with your life? You know, you should be in plastics. You should do this. And he's just like, I don't know what I want to do and you're all suffocating me and I just need some time to think. He's clearly, you know, he's socially awkward, he's introverted, and he doesn't really fit in well with, you know, his parents' kind of social scene. His dad's a lawyer, so he's around all of these guys.
They're very much socialites.
Everyone's a socialite, you know, and they're all, you know, about appearances and all that kind of stuff, and he just kind of he basically just kind of falls into an affair with, his dad's law partner's wife.
Yeah, so to me in the beginning, there's a lot of symbolism in this movie.
Yeah.
And one thing is the picture of him being underwater,
Mm-hmm.
and also inside a fishbowl.
Yeah.
So he has a fish,
Yeah.
an aquarium in his room, and he's got a little guy in a dive suit inside the thing, and
which also comes up later.
Which comes up-
a literal dive suit comes up later.
So he's basically being looked at as he's in a fishbowl. Like, you get that sense when he walks into the first party that his parents have while he's back for his graduation.
Yeah, your skin just crawls.
You can
watching
feel
that
it,
movie.
like he's in a little fishbowl, and everybody's looking at him like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" And he's just like,
Dustin Hoffman plays that scene to perfection. Like, you feel how awkward he feels, how uncomfortable he is. And then, he kind of just escapes to his room, and then all of a sudden, his, Mrs. Robinson is there.
and he's like, "What? Why
And
are
she's
you
like,
here?"
she's like the definition of a cougar.
Yeah.
I mean, she is like, she sees fresh meat, and she sees an opportunity. She finds him attractive, and she finds someone that she thinks she can manipulate for her own physical gratification.
Let's table that for a second. So he's, and also the use of the camera at this time is a lot of close-up face, close-up, because you're, invading his space, really. So it's making him feel claustrophobic, and you're feeling claustrophobic with him.
Yeah.
I agree with you about Mrs. Robinson seeing him as an opportunity, but I think her motives are more of, I want to relive my youth.
Okay.
She got married to her husband because she was pregnant, and she didn't really get to live that life, and I think that she's constantly trying to chase it.
Okay.
And so she finds him in this space where she missed that stage where she was lost, and
I think that's part of it, but I also think, I think she's relishing, teaching him. She's basically teaching him how to explore a woman's body. He's clearly doesn't know what he's doing. It's unclear whether this is him losing his virginity or not. I think you can make the case that it is.
Yeah.
But I also think you can make the case that he's maybe had one or two really kind of awkward sexual experiences before this.
Yeah.
I think
not really.
I think the movie leaves that to interpretation, but I think she's really relishing the fact that she just she gets to train. Basically, she gets to train.
Well, and she has a lot of power over him,
right?
Which she doesn't have at home.
That is the power dynamic between the two of them is very clearly enticing for her.
And then you think about her being she's like, under no circumstances are you to date my daughter,
Right?
And at first I thought, oh yeah, that would be a little creepy, but I think she says that because I think she feels in a way that she's given up a lot of her life for her daughter, and so she doesn't want him, which she sees as hers, being taken away from her with her daughter, which ultimately happens, and she's pretty pissed off about it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so there's a point in the movie where, Elaine finds out that he had an affair with her mom.
Yeah, he tells her.
He tells her. He just tells her.
To miss.
And then
it's a preemptive strike. If he doesn't tell her, at that moment, then as soon as he leaves, her mom is going to tell her.
Right. And then her mom made this big lie up about how he raped her or whatever. So anyway, so he goes to see her after because he wants to apologize. He moves up to Berkeley to be near her, and he does this whole stalkerish thing.
So let me ask you a question here. Do you think he's in love with Elaine?
No, I don't.
I don't either. I think it's more of he thinks he should be in love with Elaine, and I think this goes back to a lot of what he's dealing with in right now is the things that he should be doing.
Yeah.
but also I think he also feels a responsibility, like towards the end, I think he feels a responsibility to save Elaine from marrying Carl.
Yeah. I think that's why he goes back. Like, he feels like, why, so that whole last scene where they're in the church and he's like, and she turns around and they run out of the church together. Before they run out, her parents are like tugging at her and like, no, don't do this, don't do this. And her mom says, it's too late. And she says, not for me. And walks out the door. Right. So that's a big telling thing. Like,
and it's also you don't actually hear it. It's all it's all lip reading.
Yeah.
Like you're basically you're put in Benjamin, who is like he's like upstairs. He's looking through this big window down at the pews where the wedding has just finished. Like they've already I now pronounce you man and wife. They had their kiss. And, then he's like banging on it. She hears him, she sees him. And then like everything from there is, everyone's really like, going out of their way to, enunciate the words so you can read the lips, because Ben has to read the lips. So you're also doing it, which is really great filmmaking, by the way.
Yeah.
So, there's this really like the ending is probably to me is the most interesting thing about this movie is they're on the bus and they're so pleased.
Yeah, we did it.
They're so pleased with themselves, and then it's like,
wait, what the fuck did we just do?
What did we just do, and what do we do now?
Yeah.
I mean, she is married, so at the very least, she would have to annul her marriage. And then, what is their future? Are they going to be together? Can she be with a guy who was with her mom? There's a whole there's so many questions that go into this,
and you can see. And this is good filmmaking when they're on the bus and they get over the initial excitement of what just happened.
He pulls away.
And they're just kind of sitting there
silent. They don't know what to say. And they're thinking. Right. They're both thinking the same thing.
What did I do?
Yeah.
What am I going to do now?
Right.
And I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think they end up together.
I don't either.
I don't. I think that they kind of go their separate ways, but they each helped each other in a way.
Yeah, I could actually see a future where they're friends.
Yeah, like they're good friends.
They're confidants, they're friends, but I don't see them having a romantic future together.
No, and I think that I don't know, maybe she goes back.
Yeah,
who knows?
Maybe she stays with Carl. Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh my gosh. I gave this one a...
Gross.
I gave this... I gave this one a 62. Jerry gave it a 64, so the list score is therefore 63. This is an excellent, excellent movie. Truly a great film.
It's one of my faves.
It's just not a great love story. I understand why it's on the list, though, and I don't begrudge AFI putting this one on the list. I have a lot of things to say about certain movies that they put on this list, not this one. I think In the Middle of the Road is probably pretty accurate for where this movie should be on the list.
Let's not forget to mention the soundtrack. Yeah. Right? Simon and Garfunkel. It's
fantastic. Everyone has
amazing.
Everyone who's ever heard a song has heard Mrs. Robinson by Simon and Garfunkel. It was written for this movie.
It's great. Also, it was set in the Bay Area. Some of it.
Yeah.
San Francisco, Berkeley, so you get to see that.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about the film.
All right. Well, if you have seen The Graduate and you would like to make a comment, please do so. Please like and subscribe. We'd love to see you on here. And so if you'd like to email us personally, please email us at ratingthelist@gmail.com. But for now, that's it. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Brad.
And we're Rating the List. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.